Okay, so next, let's welcome our team, Form2Fly. And this team is developing a Nano-S app that aims to help people improve their disc form so they can win their next game with enough practice. Okay, so without further ado, yeah, let's go ahead and look into their presentation. Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Cameron, and as Dr. Wu said, we are Form2Fly. I love disc golf a lot, and I've always wanted to get better at it. And I couldn't think of a better way than to actually find an active learning outlet for it. So we're using motion tracking, we're comparing databases to professionals, and using as many interesting means as we can to help us improve and help other people improve. So I'll pass it off to Keith, who's going to talk about the IT and the infrastructure.
Thank you, Cameron. As he said, I'm Keith. I will outline the infrastructure, the network, and our functionality of it, those three aspects. Of course, we're going with a cloud-based service, and it has customizations that fit our needs. We would do system. It allows for system management, IP protocols, and different functionality aspects of it. Next slide, please. All right, so we opted to go with Amazon Web Service as our cloud-based service. You know, we have three components that we used in the development of this app. It is the EC2, the S3 bucket, and a service called Amplify. Why did we choose the cloud-based service in form of Amazon Web Services? Well, basically, we're developing this app on a limited budget, and we needed the right infrastructure design. Amazon Web Service provides a lot of services for us. Some of them we may use, some of them we won't, but in the event that we need them, we can readily grab them and implement them into our process. And after the launch, we have the option to scale up or scale down or adjust our design to fit our needs of our customers and the needs of the app. Next slide, please. All right, so with AWS, it provides convenient monitoring services for me. I or myself, my other IT partner, Mr. Meyer, we can look at our monitoring system right from our cell phone or anywhere that we have a Wi-Fi connection. It allows for us to develop, special security roles for the other team members that won't affect the direct management that we are in control of, and it allows for us to do customization on port management that keeps keeps remote control protocols in effect, prevents IP squatting with our website. Next slide, please. So our current functionality utilizes the EC2 as our virtual server, and it has Apache installed on it. We have our S3 bucket that's cross-functioning with it, that stores and backs up our information, right along with our backing up protocols that we have as far as our snapshots and our other backup protocols that run every night at 11 p.m. Now, our future setup, this is just the ideals that we've thrown out there in the event that we go up in size or we go to a different market sector. Our S3 bucket can host a static website. Then we can use our EC2 as a failover to spin up or bring another one up as needed. Right now, this is for the iOS devices, the Apple devices. So we are using Amplify, but that can be implemented into the launching of our Android platform when we get there. That details my portion of it. I'm going to pass it to the other IT personnel, Mr. Meyer, and he will detail his portion of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Keith. My name is Mickey Meyer, and I'll be talking about websites, pro videos, and Amazon Cognito. For websites, we chose to use the WordPress site, because it was the one that was most familiar to the CIS members, so that they could look it over and fill it out with all the content about how the app works and the general functionality, as well as little blurbs from each member of the team about what they were working on. Also, we had to go through and find the best professional disc golfer videos on using the website YouTube and we find these videos specifically for our software so that the users can see the exactly where their technique can be improved and whatnot. And it was important to get it at the right angle so as one for the users to see and one for our software to be able to properly adjust to the different techniques and whatnot. We also used the previously created spreadsheet that logged their throw type and whether they were left or right-handed as well to help look and find the correct videos. And we've been using Amazon Cognito and Amplify. So AWS's Amplify was used as the backend to set up the Amazon Cognito. This enables users to create accounts and also to sign into their account. This is useful because once we get approval from the App Store and whatnot, we will be able to connect to Apple ID authorization. This in the future will make it a lot easier for users to sign in with their Apple ID immediately and just get in right into the meat and potatoes of our application and get going. Next slide, please. So what was changed? So we were using DynamoDB as the database. And as you can see here, we had the attributes of PDGA as the primary key, and then we also had the attributes of dominant hand, the pro name, the throw type, the pro data, and the pro weighted score, as well as one for the video of the professionals throwing. And we were using AWS's Amplify to connect the DynamoDB to the project. Unfortunately, we were able to connect it to the project, but we were not able to get the project to read from the database. So we made the difficult decision to change it to be preloaded onto the app, as you can see here in the bottom right corner. And so those will be on the app, and so they'll be able to still use the video functionality of it. And Edward will talk about that later. But as for now, I will be passing it on to Amanda for the live demo. Thank you.
Hi, I'll be giving the live demo, and so I'm going to broadcast my screen, and you can see right here I'm signing out, and I'm going to show you the create account view, and our users will have to type in their username, email address, and password to create account, but I'm just going to sign in right here real quick. So on the create account view, they will have to confirm their email address, but here's our home screen. And you can see how the user can select a left hand or right hand, depending on their dominant hand. And I'm going to show you the match functionality at the moment. So this is, we're going to use Cameron's video and we're going to upload that. And later on in the demo, I'll show the recording feature in a recorded demo because we didn't find it practical to show in a live demo because I had to go to the park. Right now on my screen, there's a spinner, but since I'm using Reflector, it's showing the first frame of the video. But now you can see that he got matched with Reed Frescura, and his overall similarity score was a 93%. His problem areas was in the left shoulder and right shoulder, so we can remember that moving forward and pay attention to that in the video. So this just is going through the video and adding nodes to it, and you can pay attention to the left and right shoulder and you can see red nodes. And this is further highlighted when we go to the professionals view, and we can see it on their left and right shoulder as well. And this is just processing for a moment. Then you can see those red nodes there, highlighting that you need to focus there. And we can even replay that video if you'd like, and that way you can mimic and become a better player. So now I'm going to move to the home screen and I'm going to show you the recorded part. And here is this. So I'm going to show you also the picking the professional Jay Coling, because earlier that morning I got matched to Jeremy Coling and I wanted to practice on my forehand and I got a score around to 65%. And then further on from practicing, I got an 82%, which will be shown later in the video. Right now I'm just editing it so there's a better score later on. So now I got an 82.85%, and you can see that I need to focus on my left shoulder and my hip region, and this is further highlighted with the red nodes. And we can move on to the professionals view. and we can replay that. This was really useful in improving my score because I could mimic it and make more progress towards it. And now I'll be passing it to Edward to talk about the development process.
Hi, my name is Edward, and I'll be going over the development process of our application Form2Fly. So at the core of our application, we use Google ML Kit. In our testing, we found that this was the best one and was able to detect the most nodes on a person. So we used Google's pose detection model. And how we did it was we passed each frame of the video through Google's pose detection model and allowed it to analyze. And then we drew the nodes on top of each of the joints we were looking at. And so we use this to compare to the professional. We ran the video of the professional, all the videos of the professionals through the Google ML Kit, extracted all the data so that we could store it later on and use it for quick analysis. Next slide, please. Okay, so for storage of our professional player data, we wanted to have it on the database, but we found that when we stored it locally, we were able to use really quick analysis on it, and it just allowed for better connectivity to the data. One thing that we want to do in the future potentially is allow the user to preload some data from the professional players, and so that they're never without training advice. Because as you see in the previous videos, we could see that it was done in a more remote areas, and sometimes that could affect the ability to connect to the data. And we wanted the user to have a good experience using the app. And as for problems, we wanted to do augmented reality at first, but in our testing, we found that it was very time consuming trying to implement a good version of augmented reality. And we also found that it really didn't provide any beneficial information to the user. It was going to be a lot more than just creating an AR model that mimicked the data we had presented. It quickly snowballed, and we decided that it would be best to cut this out of the application and give the user more reliable data. Also, as you could see in some of our frames, it's really hard to capture the data of a professional player just because of how quick it's going, and just also the quality of the videos. And so we cut it out to prevent any quality issues in our final application. And we believe that this could make a return in the future if we are able to create a good version of it. And as for the future, we feel like we left a lot on the table that we could add in the future. Overall, we feel like we delivered on what we wanted for the first implementation, but in the future, we would like to add the ability to preload professional data, as I mentioned earlier. We also want to develop a better system for matching a player to a professional player. Right now, ours is a little bit more rudimentary, but we want to be able to maybe implement a machine learning or something of the sort. Because right now we're just analyzing the data by ourselves and then adding it to our spreadsheet or database. Also, this is going to go hand in hand with getting approval from the PDGA, but we want to get more accurate information from our videos. And so a way to do this would be to standardize the format of the videos. As you could see in our demo, Amanda and Cameron took their videos from the side, but in the PDGA professional videos, they were often taken from the front or the rear, and this created some issues when analyzing the data. And so now I'll be passing on to Cameron.
Thank you, Edward. So we have a very interesting and very complete app coming up, but none of that matters if we don't have money to fund it. So we needed to find a price. And originally we had a price that we thought was good because we wanted to not have too much comparisons with UDisc, which is another popular disc golf app, which is very extremely low priced. It's $5 a year, and that wasn't too feasible for us. We thought we had a middle ground, but after consulting our professor, we decided to do a little bit of more market research. So I conducted a survey. I went to the UT Tyler Disc Golf Club, which has about 40 odd members, and I demoed the functionality of the app, showed it to them, and said, how much do you think you would want to pay for this in terms of a monthly subscription? I compiled all their responses and I averaged them up. And so I arrived at a final price point. So with that, our price is, little drum roll, $6.99 a month. I like this price. It's very nice. It helps us fund what we need to know and what we need to do while not being too cumbersome for the customer. And I think it will go hand in hand with UDisc. Next slide, please. However, we've got some costs. And so it's another reason why I like that price, because it'll help us cover these costs. After looking at the costs that we've done with AWS and the eventual fees that we'll have to do for publishing our apps on the App Store and eventually Google Play, we would come to a maximum at about under $185 in fees for now. But the thing is, most of those are one-time or yearly costs. Apple's is a yearly cost, and AWS and Google Play, they're one-time costs. The only monthly cost that we have is that additional features fee, and that's a whopping 58 cents. So it will not be hard to recoup that cost. So in terms of breaking even, we would need, if we took all of the costs that we had right now in a kind of worst case scenario, we would need at least 27 subscriptions to recoup that initial cost, which is definitely possible considering that there are thousands of people that play disc golf, love it, and want to get better. And then with that, since it's a monthly subscription, if we keep those customers and retain them, then we will see profits within the first 3 months, and it will just keep spiraling upwards and help us get a lot more costs. Next slide, please. So how do we get those customers? Because they're just not going to fly on our doorstep. We need to market. I think a very good way we can do this is by partnering with some of the parks around certain towns. For instance, I know Lindsay Park here was recently the host of a Texas Championship disc golf event, I believe late March. And so if we get support from these establishments, it'll be well known, respected in the disc golf community, and it'll help us expand our reach outside of colleges. Alec will mention some of that later, but we want to go for college towns, not just colleges themselves. This is one way that'll help us with that. Another thing we can do is get celebrity endorsement. I know many people that have met some of these famous disc golf players like Brody Smith, Paige Pierce, and Paul Macbeth, even volunteering at the Texas State Championship at Lindsay. And the main thing they always told me is these people are very chill, they're easygoing, and they want to see people succeed as much as they do. They just love the sport. And so if we show them the functionality of this app and they really like it, they want to see it continue, they can endorse that and help us break through the public market of not trying to usurp UDisc as the next big disc golf thing, but just as a complementary app for it. And then also it'll help us aid in diminishing present and future costs if we want to potentially add the AR model with a little bit more oomph to it, then we can hopefully get more backing from the celebrity endorsement. The next thing that we can do is a PDGA partnership. And I know we've mentioned that a few times so far, so I'll leave it to Alec to discuss what that actually entails and how we're going to reach these customers.
All right, thank you, Cameron. My name is Alec, and I'm going to be talking about Form2Fly's targeted customer base, our long-term strategy, and the efforts that we're going to take to keep our product relevant and desirable for our customers. So to start off, this slide is going to give a quick rundown of the main points that I'm going to be addressing in the following slides. So for targeting, I'm going to give a quick overview of our thought process when considering Form2Fly's customer segments, and discuss our reasoning behind our choices and why our target market will provide long-term growth for Form2Fly. For our strategy, I'm going to talk about why our long-term goal of a PDGA partnership will be a massive help to our product, and how we can combine this with our other efforts of growth to continuously tweak and perfect our product according to our customers' needs and desires. And finally, I'm going to be talking about how we're going to work to keep our product relevant over time and stay desirable in the eyes of our customers without them gradually losing interest. So next slide. Okay, so to start with targeting, the PDGA's documentation of their age demographic, it helped to give us a really useful set of information to branch off of when utilizing our customer segments. So if you take a look at their table, you can see that the highest percentages of members, they fall under ages 20 to 29 and 30 to 39. And luckily for us, this percentage continues to expand for ages 30 to 39. And this means that as age increases, so does the public interest. So the first category of 20 to 29 will no doubt have a large chunk of students in that percentage. And this gave us the idea to begin our geographical target market in college towns. And then we'll follow the data and expand outwards to larger communities as the percentage of interest grows with age. And this will give us a steady wave of continuous growth that we can ride off of, and it'll help us build the influence and reputation that we need. Next slide, please. So moving on to our strategy and long-term goals. So we wish to utilize Form2Fly's unique approach to cultivating form and our steady increase in reputation to seek a partnership with the PDGA. So basically, if our product can garner enough interest for disc golf and bring in a lot of public interest, then the PDGA will have to consider our long-term value as a product. So if we can achieve this partnership, then it'll no doubt increase our product's reputation, and it'll help to convey a much more official image to our customers. And this will allow us to further our growth and give us a steadily increasing market to work with and help us more effectively obtain product feedback. Next slide. So finishing off with keeping our product relevant, it's important that customer interest doesn't decrease with time. So we need to keep customers invested and their interests maintained consistently. So in order to do that, I believe that connectivity is key. So taking the time to interact with customers on a personal level, and this will allow them to see that we're people too, and not just another application on their phones. And using these connections, we can obtain feedback on how to continuously improve and develop, not just to fix bugs, but to expand our product as a whole. And if we do all this, then I believe our product will have a positive impact on the market, and it will bring about a unique value that the public hasn't seen before. And with that, that's been our final presentation. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we can open it up to questions.
Hi, yeah, I had a question about your costs. So your costs, you said you only have a one-time cost, but is that really true? Because as you grow user base, you're going to have to spin up more instances or bigger instances in AWS that can handle more traffic and have and store more data. So I'm curious if you consider that.
Yes, we have. And yes, you're right. As we grow and add new features, like I'm almost certain that when we add an AR model, that it will incur some sort of monthly costs like that. But after searching, we ran through everything for AWS, for the EC2, the WordPress, it all compiled into around that list. And so for the moment, we do have primarily one-time and yearly costs, with the exception of the monthly 58 cents. But yes, and it's important to know that that yearly cost from Apple is still $99. So it's a hefty price, but with the long period between prices that we'll need to account for, we should get more than enough subscriptions to help overtake that.
And then continuing, is there no cost for employees?
So at the moment, considering this is a student project, right now we don't have costs for employees. I have started looking into those costs in terms of certain developers for iOS, Android, market analysts, business analysts. But for the moment, we don't have costs right now for those. But in the future, once we get a little bit more capital, we will be able to pay the people that have worked so hard on this.
Thank you.
So I have a question for the CIS majors. Is there any way around the Professional Disc Golf Association partnership if that deal doesn't work out?
Yeah, I can touch on that. So Cameron mentioned this a bit earlier, but we're also seeking the endorsements from the park partnerships and the disc golf celebrities. And I think that because Cameron emphasized that like their personalities is really chill people that just want to see the sport expand and more people enjoying disc golf, I don't see it as like a major gateway of them being opposed to helping us out if our product actually looks like it'll have a long-term positive impact. So I think if the PDGA route doesn't work out, then I think that is an optimistic solution.
Okay.
I had a question. I was wondering if you guys could go into some detail of why you used Google's ML kit over the like other software that would essentially do the same thing or slightly different, their competitors.
So we use Google ML Kit because when we were first testing it out, we found that it had like the most nodes that were readily available for data extraction. They also had very good documentation on it, and we were able to very easily implement a version of it that worked well. And so we decided that was going to be our best bet for getting it up and going.
Awesome. Thank you.
one question. You're talking about how you started with AR and it started snowballing. Could you go a little bit into that?
Yeah, we started developing the AR and it just wasn't looking good enough. So we didn't want to put a product that we didn't believe in and didn't have the quality there. So we decided to change our training. So it's like this instead.
Thank you.
I have a question for Michael. Do you have, or why did you choose WordPress over something else?
Just mainly, we were able to see that the CIS majors were very familiar with it. Also, the fees with it was low, and we were able to just basically use it the best of its ability and get it connected with our EC2. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
I have a question. So for our project, we started off using AWS and it ended up not working out in the end. Could you get into some detail about why it didn't work out for you?
Keith, do you want to take that question?
Yeah, I couldn't clearly understand. It seemed like she was breaking up. Was that me that was only experiencing that?
Yeah, I think so. She basically just asked why we used AWS.
I mean, AWS is robust as far as the things that are available as far as services. I mean, it has the option for you to develop apps. It has the option for you to do migration from WordPress from different websites outside of that's used with AWS. It just allows for a lot of cross functionality overall. That I just you know it, and as far as the learning curve with it, I mean, we were on such a limited time. It's harder to research a lot of these different things and understand what they do. But AWS had all the documentation right there for us compared to what I considered with the other competitors out there.
Awesome. Thank you, Keith.
All right. If anyone doesn't have any more questions, I think that'll be all for us. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us.